Hello everyone, this is Sheba Joy. Welcome to my channel Zion Shekinah Official. Zion means God's dwelling place, Shekinah is God's glory. Today we're going to look into Proverbs chapter 19, verses 1 to 29. Fool whose lips are perverse. Desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way? A person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their hearts rages against the Lord. Wealth attracts many friends, but even the closest friend of the poor person deserts them. A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free. Many curry favor with the ruler, and everyone is the friend of one who gives gifts. The poor are shunned by all their relatives. How much more do their friends avoid them? Though the poor pursue them with pleading, they are they are nowhere to be found. The one who gets loves life. The one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will perish. It is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. How much worse for a slave to rule over princes. A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. Yeah, so true. A king's rage is like the roar of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish child is a father's ruin, and a quarrelsome wife is like the constant dripping of a leaky roof. Houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Laziness brings on deep sleep, and the shiftless go hungry. Whoever keeps commandments keeps their life, but whoever shows contempt for their ways will die. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. Discipline your children, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death. A hot-tempered person must pay the penalty. Rescue them, and you will have to do it again. Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord, the Lord's purpose that prevails. Amen. What a person desires is unfailing love. Better to be poor than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. A sluggard buries his hand in the dish. He will not even bring it back to his mouth. Flog a mocker, and the simple will learn prudence. Rebuke the discerning, and they will gain knowledge. Whoever robs their father drives out their mother, is a child who brings shame and disgrace. Stop listening to instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. A corrupt witness mocks at justice. In the mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. If you see in Proverbs 19, better the poor it's Proverbs chapter 19 verse 1. Better the poor whose walk is blameless and than a fool whose lips are perverse. That means, God is talking about people who are poor, and it's better to be poor, but it is even more dangerous actually to listen to a person who's a fool and whose lips are perverse. Excuse me. And a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free. Sorry. So, they might be, it's self-explanatory, but God is talking about a false witness, someone who goes against an innocent or the righteous person. God is saying that they will not go unpunished, and their lies will not go free. That means they will come back to them and they will have to repay for what they have said or done. um, Verse 8, the one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. See, it's a beautiful verse actually. One who gets wisdom loves life. Why? Because, when we have the wisdom of God, we learn to cherish life through difficulties, through um, good things, bad things, difficulties, happy times, joyous times, through all kinds of circumstances and situations. One who has wisdom will not be overwhelmed, or will not be unhappy, or will not grumble. So, and that's how they will cherish life, because in everything that's coming their way, in everything that comes our way, with when we have wisdom, we will see through the eyes of God. We will see through the wisdom that God is providing us, giving us. So then what happens when we see like that? When we then we cherish life, it says in the Bible. So true. It's such a nice verse it is. Understanding will soon prosper. Then as we contemplate on the things that are going around, in our lives and all that, be it good, bad, ugly, happy, and all those things, we begin to understand them. And when we understand, we prosper. Uh, it says in the Bible, right? Those, as the man thinketh, um, so his soul prospers, something like that. Not able to remember where it is, but it is there. So that's also in connection to this verse. Then, wow, this is so, see, so many times such kind of things are repeating over here, because even because it is the same meaning, but it's said in a different way. See, we have read in chapter 19 verse 5, a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free. And here in ninth verse it says, a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will perish. See, that means there is judgment, and also there is punishment in the fifth verse for a person who goes, gives false witness. And also in the ninth verse, God is talking about their perishing, like, their judgment, God's judgment coming on them. Um, 13. A foolish child is a father's ruin, and a quarrelsome wife is like the constant dripping of a leaky roof. A foolish child, if the child is not having any wisdom, if they act very, foolish, and they act like all nonsense all the time, it's a father's ruin, because at one point the father seeks to have a child who knows how to take on the responsibility of themselves, and also of the house. But when they can't do it, the father will feel ruined. Brings a ruin, because but there are many things that are not met in that household. And so also a quarrelsome wife is like the constant dripping of a leaky roof. If you have a leaky roof all the time, like, it's such a pain, because you can't sleep, you can't even sleep in the night, you can't even live in the daytime in such a leaky roof. And so too, because at one point, when, you know we moved into a house, and it was just Sophia and myself. We moved into this nice penthouse. It was really nice. I liked it because there was no one on the top, on the terrace, and it was really nice. Everything was to ourselves. But after, like, I think after 2 months or so, when it started raining, that part of the portion of the house was leaking. I was like, it was the living room. So, and it was built in such a way that we had to go from the living room to the kitchen and living room to the bedroom. So, it was so yuck. I mean, it was just so um, wet everywhere, and it was like damp, and nothing was like, it was very irritating. So the thing is, and then of course, like we asked the owner of the house, to like landlord, to repair it, but he was not willing to, so we moved from that place. And so yeah, so it's saying it's like a constant dripping, of a leaky roof. That means there's so going to be like so much of misunderstanding all the time with such kind of quarrelsome wives, so much of irritation and all that. But I also think, when a wife is quarrelsome, it's either because of her insecurities, or either because, she's not a wife. She's living as a wife to that man. And when such kind of like no covenant relationships are formed, when there's no marriage there in that relationship, and it's only a man and a woman living together and having children, such kind of household will be dominated by the devil. So the wife, will become quarrelsome, and he will become irritated and all that stuff. So that's why, marriage is so important, so important, um uh, before, God and man. 16, whoever keeps commandments keeps their life, but whoever shows contempt for their ways will die. So, see, this is also a very good verse, that God is saying that one who keeps the commandments, they know how to keep their life. Why? Because when they ponder over the 10 commandments that God has given us, and we know that it is very, very crucial and important for us to follow, because it came from the mouth of God. And when we know how to follow them, when we know what they are, and we know their importance and all that, that means we also live a life. I mean, we can live well. But whoever shows contempt for their ways will die. That means, when people don't know how to follow, when people don't know what to do about the commandments. I mean, they're reckless, they're stupid, they don't want to follow, they're wicked, they don't want to follow, they're lying and gossiping and all that. They want their ways to, they want to follow their ways. In that circumstance, what happens is, God is saying that they will die. So yeah. And 17, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. See, the thing is, it is very intentional giving. I would call it, not randomly giving, but intentionally giving. Like when I mean, randomly giving is also good, is also nice. You see a person, you feel like giving, you give, that's fine. But intentionally, when you see a poor person, coming to your doorstep, coming to your office, coming to your workplace, coming to, your neighborhood, coming to your church and all that, when you bless them intentionally, that's when, the verse here, God is saying that that's when they will be rewarded for what they have done. 18. Discipline your children, for in that there is hope. Do not be a willing party to their death. So true. Because, see, disciplining children is so important. But if we don't, what happens? They can go wayward. They can go do what they like, and then we become actually, such parents who don't discipline their children will lead their children to death, it says. It's very, very crucial. Very. 21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. This is the fourth time I think we're reading this verse. Why? Because it has been repeated, in all the like other, I think 16, 17, 18, and also I think 14 chapters of Proverbs. We have this verse: many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. So we can have many plans, but if it is not according to the will of God, it will not prevail. So it has, and if it is not according to what God says it should be, or what God, or sometimes, people make plans contrary to the will of God, that's not going to prevail. The Lord is talking about that here. Excuse me. It's actually in the middle of the night. Verse 23. The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. How beautiful this verse is. See, the fear of the Lord, again, we have seen here the fear of the Lord leads to life, because we've also seen here somewhere it is there, right? Yeah, eighth verse. The one who gets wisdom loves life. So in 23rd verse, it's saying the same thing. The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. So good. Why? Because see, when we fear God, we live a life of holiness, we live a life of purity, we live a life of pleasing, and we live a life that is acceptable to God. When that happens, then we also feel content. Why? Because it's the peace of God that reigns in our lives, and we also become very untouched by trouble. Why? Troubles may come, yes, as human beings we are touched by everything. Troubles may come, but God is saying that we'll be untouched by it. Why? Untouched by trouble. Why? Because or I mean, troubles may come, but God is saying that you will not be touched by it. That sometimes people, when they have problems and troubles, and they become very sensitive to all those things and emotional and all that, but God is saying even that He will not allow. So any kind of trouble He will not allow to be touched. Any kind of trouble that comes also will not become sensitive or emotional or anything like that, but we know that God is the one who's going to take it away. Just as it came, it will also be wiped out. So it will not be touched. So it will go untouched. And excuse me. And verse 26, it says, whoever robs their father and drives out their mother is a child who brings shame and disgrace. So true. That means, see, people who don't honor their parents, because the first commandment in the Bible is honor your parents so that you will live long. I think, is it the first or second? So you may live long. So when children don't honor their parents, what happens to them? They bring shame and disgrace on themselves. Why shame? Not because people would know that they're not doing. Yes, that's one of the reasons also. But eventually their life will become a life of shame, and they will be disgraced by many and by God also. Verse 28. A corrupt witness mocks at justice, and the mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. A corrupt witness meaning, see, people who don't like justice, right? People who are always doing wicked things, illegal things, wrong things, they mock at justice. Why? Because they don't like something that is right. Because they're doing wrong, they don't like something that is right. So they try to evade it. They try to mock it says in the Bible. That means they're always grumbling about it. They're always saying negative things about justice, right? And the mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. It is even even worse, right? Like the wicked. And what happens here? The wicked person, I believe, they gulp down only evil. So we know that when we're telling children, oh, don't gulp down food so fast, don't gulp down water so fast, and all that stuff. We use those terms when they're drinking water and they're drinking or they're eating food, right? But here, I believe a wicked person actually gulps down evil through his throat. How dangerous, how bad, and how serious that is, right? So we have to know that, we have to discern from knowing who a wicked person is and who is not. Some, even like the men of God, the woman of God, and all that, they're cheated by these wicked people, and I don't understand why and how. But it's very important that they don't fall down to their praise and all that, but become, very careful because ultimately, see, they are very good people, the women of God and the men of God, but the thing is, when they don't have discernment and they start believing the lies of the wicked, and they pray for them, for them to get well or for them to be blessed and all that, God will ask them. Because see, it says in the Bible, what God has cursed, let no man bless, it says. So they have to be very careful about these things. And I'm only saying, by taking the like women of God and men of God, I'm saying that because, see, ultimately God deals with them very severely. People who do ministry, people who are in doing the work of God, they have to know who is wicked. And at the same time, it's not just because they're wicked they can kick them out of church, or or uh, say any mean things. It's not that. But they have to know to reprimand that kind of wicked people in the church, or when they come for prayer and things like that, to be blessed, or and then not bless them at all, and not cater to their lies and things like that. So that's why discernment is very, very important. And in the beginning we have seen, right, wisdom, under that, if there were like one, two, three, four options, and one of the option is wisdom, not option, one of the sublink is wisdom. So, and all of them together accumulate to become wisdom, like it's a cake. See, you, in cake you just don't eat the cake. I mean, there's the we love cakes. I love cake a lot, especially with a lot of frosting. And I don't care what frosting, because it's sweet, and anything sweet I just love it. So the cake has lots of ingredients, right? If we say, oh, let's take out the sugar, and then just let's put the flour and the other ingredients and all that, and then have cake, it's never going to be a cake. Or let's say, let's take out the butter, let's take out the eggs, and just add sugar and the flour and the milk and whatever the essence and all that, it's not going to be that, right? It's not going to be called cake. So wisdom also is like that. When you say you have wisdom, that means you must have discernment to know who's right and who's wrong, who's walking into your courts, who's walking into your church, who's asking you to do this and that for them, especially with the wicked people. So that's what it is here. And verse 29, penalties are prepared for mockers, and beatings for the backs of fools. That means people who mock, people who say wrong things when they're right, when some things are right, they are, that means and beatings for the back of fools. Why beatings for the back of fools? Because a fool does something wrong. We've seen in our class as we were growing up in schools that, the weak girls and all that, they used to get a lot of beatings from the teachers, because they never used to understand what the teacher was saying, and they never used to follow instructions. That the one of the main things, that the teachers used to get angry, and they used to like hit them, or with a cane, or like, or scold them and all that, because there are a lot of things a fool does. So this is what the word of God is saying. And so, yeah, so thank you all so much for listening, and may the Lord bless this word. Thank you.